Okay, go ahead.
What?
Tracy is the sweetest, nicest, greatest, most understanding person in the whole world.
And you lie a lot.
Send that
What?
to Tracy.
What?
And you're right, Bob, that it wasn't Lisa's fault that she washed your phone.
Did I say it was Lisa's fault? No, I know better. The only thing she's at fault for is for trusting me in the first place. You know, I tell her that all the time. I said, I am a lucky person. You're the one that got stuck with me, not the other way around. She seems to think she's lucky too, but I just don't see it myself.
Notice Jerry's being very tight-lipped.
Yeah, well, we got this thing going.
Some people know how to keep their mouth shut.
He's smarter than the rest of
Wasn't
us.
me.
I thought I'd try with this camera and this light and see whether we can ask you questions about your childhood and growing up down in Alabama and stuff and get it recorded and see how the light works out in here where you got more light. It never works in the living room.
What do you want to know about
Just
my
try to
childhood?
flash flashlight at her.
Well,
You get
you
flashlight.
talked
Get the rubber
before
hose out.
Where were you in the
about
summer of 19?
living in that cabin that was it, how many rooms was in that first house that you lived in down there?
4 rooms.
4 rooms? And you kept potatoes in the attic in the winter? And how many times did you go down to the spring to fetch water with a bucket?
As often as we needed it.
How often was that?
Well, there were 9 of us living in that house. So you figure how long would a 2-gallon bucket of water last? With 9 people. That was for washing your hands and cooking and the whole thing. So there was quite a few trips to the spring to get water.
Yeah.
And it was about, an eighth of a mile from the house.
Really, that far away? I thought it was down there right by the creek or near that spring.
No.
It's not, it was an eighth of a mile.
Well, there was a spring closer, but it wasn't the one we used. The one we used was farther on down in
Yeah.
the pasture where we went.
Did you have a lot of cattle in or just a couple of head or?
We usually had a couple of cows. Not a lot.
Chickens, ducks,
We had chickens.
geese?
No ducks. Yeah, we had
Pigs?
a couple of geese that would pinch the blood right out of you so they could get hold of you.
Any pigs?
Oh, yeah. We always raised hogs. That was our meat for the winter. And in the falls, when the weather got cool, why, the neighbors around would bring their hogs and they'd dig a trench and put the vat in there that they put the water in to scald them.
Yeah.
My dad would hit them in the head with a sledgehammer and then they'd slit their throats. That's how they killed them.
Yeah.
And they'd dunk them in that vat of water. They'd put them on some kind of ropes. One to get on one side and one on the other, and they'd pull them from side to side to make sure they got covered good with the water. And every once in a while, they'd pull on the hair to see if it was loose enough they could scrape them. They'd take them out of the bed of water and put them out on a platform on each side and get down with knives and scrape all the hair off of them. And then they'd rinse them with buckets of water. Then they'd hang them up, hind feet first,
Yeah.
and they would open them up with knives. And as they went from their butts to their head, they'd pull all of the intestines and stuff out, and they all went in a tub. And then they'd take from the tub, they'd take them and they'd get the heart and the liver and all of the leaf fat, which is the
Yeah.
fat between the
Yeah.
intestines. They'd take that all out. Then they'd start taking parts that they made sausage with, stuff like that. They'd take those and send them to the house. And women would be working, cutting that all up and getting it ready to grind for sausage.
Yeah.
And no, we didn't have no automatic grinders or anything. You stood with one that you turned.
You didn't have no automatic tenderloin cutter?
No, we didn't. Anyhow, they cut it up into the pieces that we were keeping
Yeah.
and packed it down in salt.
Yeah.
Put it in the upstairs with the potatoes and stuff and kept it all winter. in
Really?
that salt.
Didn't smoke it first or nothing?
Sometimes after it had cured for a few days, they rub it with brown sugar or molasses,
Yeah.
hang it down in the smokehouse. They'd build a fire in like a 5-gallon bucket with hickory chips,
Yeah.
and they'd smoke the hams.
Hmm.
They took certain parts of it that they used to make sausage. And my mother made liverwurst. None of the rest of the women did that with the, but my mother made liverwurst with the liver.
Yeah.
And we'd take and cut all of the fat that they cut off of the pieces of meat. And those we'd put in a wash pot, build a fire under it outside.
Yeah.
And we'd stand there and stir that until all of the fat came out of the meat. And we'd have cracklings.
Yeah.
The fat we put in cans, large cans, anything that would hold it. And that's what we use for all our cooking. All that. That's why I'm so healthy. I ate all that fat. I drink all that whole milk.
I thought I was working in all those fields all those years.
Well, I worked in those fields all the time.
Did you have a lot, work in the garden a lot? Was there potato digging a lot? Was there large victory gardens, or was it just mostly you were out
We
in
had
corn or
acres of
cattle?
garden. We raised all of our potatoes, both Irish and sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
And we grew peas and beans that we picked and dried. And all of our potatoes and our meat, beans and stuff like that we grew on the farm.
Yeah.
The only thing we bought was flour and sugar and salt,
Coffee.
coffee.
What about beans?
No, we raised those and dried them. And
Good, good way to store them without using energy.
bugs on the potatoes and stuff like that, we didn't dust them for bugs and stuff like that. We'd get us a can with a little bit of kerosene in it, and we'd go up one row and down the other, knocking all of the insects off into that can of kerosene. That's how we kept the bugs off of our stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. How was the Depression? What was the Depression like?
I don't know how to explain it, except we didn't have very much. We were lucky we had bread and a lot of times anything we could find that was growing we could cook. But people were walking the roads begging for food. And all we'd have sometimes would be some leftover cornbread or something like that. And they would stop, and my mother would give them whatever she had cooked up that she could spare. And if we didn't have all this fancy wrapping paper and plastic bags, all we had was maybe a piece of a newspaper. they would wrap up whatever was left over of what she gave them and stick it in their pocket because they didn't know when they would find something else to eat. But it wasn't unusual for somebody to be walking the road begging for something to eat anytime. People nowadays don't have any idea what it's like to live like we lived. And we thought we were well off compared to some people around here.
Yeah.
But we grew all of our fruit, and potatoes and all that stuff. We tried to get enough to last us from harvest until the crops would come in the next year. Sometimes we made it and sometimes we didn't.
The winters were pretty light down there, weren't they?
Well, when all you've got is a wood stove in the middle of the room to heat the house, you needed plenty of cover. Right.
You gets below freezing that far north. It wasn't very hard to get up in the panhandle. It gets below freezing sometimes.
Worse, I brought out here.
Well, we
last
had
night.
snow once in a great while. We'd have snow. We thought it was great to go out and gather up enough snow
I pretty much ground the
that we could
pistol
put milk and
figure on
sugar
how many
with
other
it.
pistol grips.
Ice cream. We tried our best to get all of the snow that we could
Fiberglass on the outside.
Any way you want it.
before
Yeah,
it
I
thawed.
just made the inside.
We could make up what we call snow cream because
Yeah, just pour
it was the
snow all
closest
around
thing
it,
to ice
and then
cream
just
that
shape
we
it by
had.
hand.
Oh, yeah. Ice cream, snow was ice cream to you guys?